Hello and welcome back to the ministry. And today we're talking about the first part of the perfect match. We'll see how many pieces we can get done today. But why am I talking about the perfect match? Because for some reason the Lord keeps gliding me back to it. When I tell you the Lord was bombarding me in relation to this, when I finished the Italian job like a week or so ago, I was skimming through the blog on my computer and the perfect match came up. And I said, I'm going to need to do this. And I left it alone thinking I was just talking out my mouth. I left it alone. And I then went back and started doing the other words. When I started doing Beyond the Lights, it came back up. I was talking about something else, it came back up. When I was talking in one of the last few videos, it came back up. And then before I did the last set of videos, I saw the actor that was in the perfect match, which I ain't seen this dude in a long time, in a car commercial on television. I'm like, okay, I must be supposed to rewatch this film. Why was I avoiding watching this film? Because they cuss a lot in that film, and it's like 3 sex scenes in the whole film. And I don't watch movies with sex in them at all. Oh, she holier than thou. No, I'm not holier than thou. I know what season this is. And I know that the enemy tries to get you on promiscuity and stuff, lust and stuff like that. So I was trying to avoid it. 9 times out of 10, the thing you're trying to avoid, God's trying to show you something in it. So if he's pushing you to watch it, even if it's 2 things he was trying to show you. Because he's been doing that to me lately. I will have the inkling and the desire to not watch something. Like, I don't want to watch this. Didn't you show me in the... And God is like, did I say that? Watch it. It's this intense spirit of, what you call it? Not so much doubt, but resistance towards things that God's trying to get you to see, because there's actually a breakthrough in that. I've seen this happen to my coach as well. She had an experience with a coach she works with, and when she first got introduced to one of his programs, she wasn't going to sit through that first intensive sequence of the challenge that she was in. She resisted it for the first half an hour of what it was she was listening to, until it got to a specific point and she was like, ding, and everything opened up. There's a breakthrough in the things that you feel resistance against. Don't you get holier than thou. Don't you get... Because sometimes I'll sit down and I'll be like, Lord, I'm not touching this until I know for sure that's what it is that you want me to talk about or look at. You understand what I'm saying? So with that being said, I watched The Perfect Match again last night. I have not watched this movie since the first time I watched the movie about 7 years ago. And let me preface by saying this. I'm noticing a lot of the things that I was doing 7 years ago, God's brought back into my rotation. It's almost like he's creating a sequence of events that match up in alignment to what was happening at that same time frame. Like the past series of years did not take place. So what ended up happening in the film? The film begins with your main character. I don't even remember what his name was, I'm gonna be honest with you. I just know that the guy named Terrence the actor named Terrence. He used to be on 106 in Park. He played um, this character. So the film starts with Terrence running in his neighborhood. He looks like he lives somewhere like in a Miami type environment or beach coastal environment. So he's right off the beach and he's on a run. And he's got that look about him, physique, that women, when they just pass him, they're just like, Me personally, I don't think he's all that good looking, to be honest with you. But he comes to a stop, and a woman in a pink jogging outfit comes up to him and said, "You dropped your keys." They end up in a conversation and start talking about photography. He says he's a photographer and he starts checking her structure and facial structure for what would look good in relation to photography. And he said, "Why don't you come by and we do a photo shoot?" This is his ploy. From my folks in the kingdom marriage season, your kingdom spouse, when he was doing what he was doing, he had an air about him that when women could approach him and were very interested in him, because potentially he just had that essence about him that exuded a strength or a sex appeal about him that made him approachable. Some people ain't even all that sexy. Sometimes they just got the money, and because people know that they got money or they dress well, they can get the women. So what ended up happening is he gets the woman to his house. She does the photo shoot. He sets her up. And of course, afterwards, they end up sleeping together. It's that easy for him. Your God-ordained spouse, he can get a woman. It ain't no big thing for him to get a woman. If he wants the woman in his bed, she'll be there. I remember I was watching, it's a podcast that I believe a pastor does on YouTube called Dear Wifey something. And he was interviewing a therapist. I've seen this therapist in Shannon Yvette's videos. He used to be a football player, Burnett. Forget what his first name is. And he was talking about in one of these interviews, or the interview with Dear Wifey, he said, "I know what I want when I see it. I can size up a woman before she even approaches me to realize exactly what I'm going to do or not do with her." These men know what they want. They know their directive and what their desire is on sight. They also can tell what you want. But they are the one that is in control of the situation. You might want something more than that, but they might want, "I can see where this is going. I'm going to take you from here. And we're going to do this, but it ain't going to be any farther than that." They size the woman up for exactly who they feel that they are. Okay? So he goes from that. And then you see him at work. He goes to the office. He has his assistant. It's this guy. And his assistant tells him that he has somebody in his office. And the guy's a new assistant. You can rather tell that. And he's trying to be extremely nice towards him. And he's like, "You don't have to be all that way." And he's like, "Well, this person's in your office. The other person is there. And somebody's out for the weekend." And he's like, "Oh, okay." I'm gonna go to my. He went to his office to go meet. He's a PR rep aside from the photography. That's what he does. He works at a PR agency, and his side gig is photography. So he knows how. He has the gift of gab. He can tell or market a person for advertisement and PR representation. So he's sitting in the office with this Asian guy who's a YouTuber, and he's talking about, I need to work with you. And he's listening to what the guy is talking about, but he's interrupted from his cocky partner that works in the office that is pretty much saying, yeah, he just comes right on in. And he had, you remember when them hoverboard roller uh things were extremely popular? This is what this guy has. And he comes rolling into his office and he said, I got a client. He said, oh, never mind. And then he starts talking about what he want to talk about, completely forgetting the client. He said, we got a meeting, so this got to end anyway. So he pretty much drags him out of the office, and he tells his assistant to tell the guy that is in his office that he's going to have to get back with him because of the fact that he's got a PR meeting because they got a major client. So as he's walking in to the room for the meeting, he sees this beautiful light-skinned woman, gorgeous business professional, what have you, and she's leaving out as he's coming in. But he doesn't get a chance to say anything to her because of the fact that he's coming in for the meeting. And his boss is bringing him in to talk to him about the thing that she just brought him. And the boss don't get it. He's like, I don't get it. Why do I need to even get this application to be put on phones and applications and all this kind of stuff? And my phone already do this. And he's like, okay, I'm gonna check it out. I'll test it. I'll see what it's about, and I'll see what we can do about it. If you want to take this guy on as a client, he's like, yeah, because we want the money. Is what his boss is saying. So it's like, okay. He's like, I'm partnering two of y'all up. Y'all figure it out. So he leaves and lets that go. That evening, he has to meet his childhood friends. Your God ain't spouse. He got friends. He got family. We ain't talking about the ones that you would think that he's around. Because your God spouse has two environments. He's got the environment that people know him under. Then he's got his environment, meaning his childhood friends, his family, his what have you. Not the work folks, not the people in the environment that whatever that is, whether they in real estate, whether they in acquisitions, agent, they work in work for celebrities or work around them, whether they are maybe they're a high-end community leader, politician, whatever that person is. You know who the Lord showed you. Whatever level of creativity that your God ordained spouse is on, they group from work, and then they got their family group. This, for him, is his family group, meaning these were the friends that grew up with him and knew him from the jump. 10, 12, all that kind of stuff. These are these friends. So these are the friends that, if he's a popular person publicly, most of you probably don't even know who these people are. I'll be honest with you. These are the tight-knit group of friends. And guess what? This tight-knit group of friends, I guarantee you, I could bet any amount of money, these are the ones that be on him. They the ones that be like, how old are you? Don't you notice you're getting older? I don't care what age your man is. He could be anywhere from 29 on up. He might be younger than that. But whatever it is, he's getting to that age where he needs to start acting like a daggone adult. And because he needs to start acting like an adult, his friends are looking at him like, when you gonna start acting like an adult? When you gonna stop doing this? And he's like, doing what? They don't even realize it. He don't realize what they're talking about. Because they're talking about, why are you hanging out with women that have no brain? And he's like, because I'm not interested in their brain. Because that's all he's bringing around is women that have very good bodies. But you can tell they're an airhead. They ain't got nothing up there. And see, this is the funny part. He's sitting there with a group of friends, and there's this woman. She's very forgettable. If they were not bringing attention to her, you wouldn't even recognize that she was at the table. She almost feels like a person that was sat there, because you know how you watch a film and the person just happens to be in the scene, but they are not visibly, verbally part of the film. That's what this woman feels like. Because she's sitting next to one of the friends. She's a friend of one of the main characters. But she just sitting there. And because the main character, what's her name? It's not Lala. It's, oh, God, I can't think of her name. Lauren London. Lauren London was sitting next to the girl. And Lauren London is one of the main characters. You could almost forget this girl because she's not recognizable. She has nothing about her that would she just seemed like a person that would be sitting there. And she didn't really have that many lines in that scene, so I think she said hi. But other than that, she didn't really say much. It was mostly about the other six of them talking. So them two go into the bathroom. This chick that he brought, and then the one that was the friend. They go in the bathroom. But while they gone, the core friend group is like, what you doing? Number one, when it comes down to it, you got a dang spouse done probably seen you before, but just how this person did not fit in that group, it was like they're there, but they're not. It's like even watching this scene, it felt like they were there, but they weren't. You understand what I'm saying? You to that person was like there, but not. Okay? You could have been sitting at the exact same table they were sitting at. They ain't see you. They ain't see you. You was right there. Some of you, it wasn't even that. It was the fact that they may have seen you in passing. Maybe you opened the door. Maybe they opened the door for you. It's something so minuscule. It may have even been that you were on social media and you made a comment and they happened to like the comment that you referred to, meaning they read it. But other than that, it was a very minuscule, momentarily fleeting moment that y'all came across each other. Very fleeting. And they missed it. Remember when I was talking about the lake house several videos back? If y'all didn't see the lake house version, go into Rama reviews and look through for the lake house review. Very good movie. Very good movie. But there's a scene where Sandra Bullock's character comes in and she crosses paths with the man that she's destined to be with. But because of the scenario that she was in that moment, she wouldn't have seen him even in the midst of that moment because her mind wasn't there. She could have had a conversation with him. Her mind wasn't there. It was nothing about it that stuck out to be like, I'm going to remember this conversation for it. Because the state of mind she was in with the guy that she was in relationship with in that moment. She was angry with him. She was dealing with some things. She was dealing with the fact that she was also pre-med in college, all this kind of stuff. Sometimes it's not your fault they didn't notice you were there. And some of y'all, the reason that the Lord has not allowed you to cross paths with your God ordained spouse is the exact same reason. You could have crossed paths with them. You could have been directly in front of their face. They'd have never seen you. You could have been in their face, not seen you, because whatever they got going on. Just like that woman was forgettable sitting at that table. You're watching the film and you see how forgettable she is. Getting back to the conversation, they're talking. You need to get your life together. What's wrong with you? Why won't you settle down? And he lists off his rules as to why he don't settle down. Look, the people that know your God, I'm talking about the ones that know him. The ones that know him. The ones that know him and they close to him, they probably been praying for him to find somebody like you. Praying for it. They've been probably constantly, subtly suggesting, when you gonna, haven't you noticed all of us have gotten married? All of us we got our kids. Why are you the only one out of all of us that are still? You got yourself, you got a good job. Why are you the only one that's not with anybody? What's wrong with you? What's going on? And some of them know why. It's like, they know that there was somebody, Vashti, there was probably a Vashti situation that happened that completely stomped the hell out of their heart. Okay, let's just be honest. Vashti was gorgeous, but she had an attitude. And when they took Vashti out the situation and she ended up being killed, because that's what happened. She wasn't just escorted or banished from they killed her, okay, for what she did. And it was his people that convinced that to happen. That what probably happened is there was somebody in your God ordained spouse's life prior to, either somebody they go back and forth with, or somebody in the past was the one. You know, that one that breaks your heart, tore it up. And the friends are dead in that thing, dead in that relationship. This person is no good for you, and they could see it. Family member could see it. Mom and dad could see it. Everybody could see it. It's like, get rid of this chick, because dead in it. Dead in it. Don't go back. And when they finally cut it off, whether it be that they cut it off or something traumatic happened in the midst of the relationship that cut that thing off, that person became dead to them, that's when they start acting a fool. That's when rules and whatever, that's when that kicked in. That's when they started creating walls by saying, the woman can't do this, the woman can't do that. He had 3 rules. Don't touch my camera. Don't, it was something about his job. And he never dated friends of his friends. Because if he dated the friend and he slept with him, then it's going to make an awkward situation for that friend. Because he knew exactly what he was going to do. He was going to sleep with him and let it go. The man has created a wall. Think about Simply Irresistible. They have their select set of rules. That guy never went past the 3rd date. This one, he just didn't date. He got what he wanted and he got gone. He didn't take no time. Some of your God ordained spouses got to a phase in their life that they were comfortable getting what they wanted and getting gone. Maybe they were the type of guy that they had a rotation. Because I know there's somebody I followed who used to have a rotation. And this is actually a female. And I learned a lot from her. She said that she had a rotation. She would go through a set of people. When a person has a person that can answer A need, B need, C need, D need, E need. They got a person for each one of those needs. They don't need one person for that. They ain't even think about it. And they don't have to become attached to any one singular person if they're going around circles. You understand what I'm saying? So they go around and don't need to become attached. That's the point. Your man might have had 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever, however many that he used as his. I go to this one for this, 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 I go to this one for this. I don't need a one because I don't need to become attached to any of them and everybody knows their place. So why do I need a one for? And they mama, they sister, they brother, they best friend, they cousin, and everybody else is sitting up there like, Lord Jesus, could you please get this man right? Jesus, get this man right. Because he needs to settle down. And that's what's happening. And then you further get confirmation of that because in the next scene, you see his sister, who's played by Paula Patton, meet him at the food truck for lunch the next day on the weekend and starts therapizing him. You know, you have some childhood issues, brother. And he said, oh, God. And she's like, why don't you ever meet me anywhere? Why don't you meet me at your house? You have a beautiful home. Why don't you meet me at your house? Is it because you don't want to have a serious conversation? We need to talk. Let's talk. And he's in there, oh God. And they're interrupted by this woman that used to know him. She's like, yo, why haven't you called me? He said, I said I was going to call you, but and this is another issue. Men that do this, they end up having women that come back every once in a while and be like, you remember when the last time I saw you XYZ? This is also a problem because they sleeping around him or da. So the sister takes him over to the table and they sit down and start talking. And she starts to mention, you know, after mom and dad died, and he said, we are not going to talk about this. We're not going to talk about this. Because she keeps trying to bring this up. And you can tell this is a point for him that's a sore spot. Your goddamn spouse has a sore spot. Whether it was a dead-end relationship or somebody in the family that they associated with love past. They associated with caring past. You understand what I'm saying? And because of this, it left them with a hole. You understand what I'm saying? And because they were left with this hole, they tried to ignore anything that would get them into a place where they can feel to a level of significance. You understand what I'm saying? They don't want to feel nothing. So they avoid situations that tap those feelings. So he's like, I ain't talking about this, so on and so forth. You see him go to, it's the point of I don't want to deal with this. Now, another scene happened, but I think it was a scene that was more intimate that I chose to fast forward past because I know that he went and he said he was sitting with his two friends he was sitting with his friend that was getting married, and then he was sitting with he was waiting on the other friend to come up the steps. And they were standing there talking about the wedding. And his friend is sitting there freaking out because the woman is asking for everything. Lauren London's character is asking for everything for this wedding. And he is petrified because he don't think he can pay for all that. But he gonna find a way. But he knows that she got the money to do it. But because he wants to be a man, he want to take care of it. So he constantly coming back to him to complain about it. And then the other friend comes up the stairs and he's so tired, he finally expresses that his wife is trying to have a baby. And they were like, really? So they all sitting there. It's a scenario of
he's got the one friend going into marriage. He's the single guy, and the other one's going into parenthood. So it's the element of he's around it. Your God ordained spouse is surrounded by people that are like this. And depending on what age he is, he's got people that are in different phases of this. He's got siblings. They already done got married if they got married, and he's got nieces, nephews, cousins, what have you. His friends are at that age range. They already done had their kids, and everybody's looking at him as a target on his back like, what you doing? What are you doing? You the only one. And I guarantee you, his mother is doing it too. It's like, he's cordial, he's nice, but I guarantee you his mama's doing it too. But this is an actual blessing in disguise, because being that person, meaning he's surrounded by it. You ever heard a person say that when you're surrounded by people that are in whatever group, if you're surrounded by musicians, you'll be the next musician. If you're surrounded by rich people, you'll be the next rich person. If you're surrounded by people that are married and having kids, guess what? Hang around them long enough, guess what? It's gonna rub off on you. It is. Because you are around those people. So the blessing in disguise is being around these people. Their desires is going to rub off on them. It's like, when you were a kid and your parents would say stuff and they thought that you weren't listening. You were listening. You heard everything that they said. You just were not acknowledging it, but it was sinking in. By being around these people in their intimate group of friends and their family members and seeing these things, the desires and things are there for your God ordained spouse. It's just that they've been avoiding it because they have a personal block from walls that they built for whatever reason that they weren't letting in. So I'm about to cut off here. We're going to pick up in the next part. I don't know how far we're going to get, but we're going to see where we can go. So hold on. I'll be right back.